War broke out in heaven. Michael, who is Jesus, led the faithful angels, while Lucifer, now called Satan, led the rebellious angels. In the end, Satan and his angels lost and were sent out of heaven to the earth. From that moment, the world became the new battlefield. Satan turned his hatred towards humanity. Maranatha Story TV presents Lesson 4 of the Fourth Water, titled The Conflict Behind All Conflicts, with Pastor N.C. Bright. And the key text is taken from the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verse 14. It reads, "There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel." Sunday, commander of the army of the Lord. Israel was completely unqualified to fight or win the battle of Jericho. They had no real fighting experience or strong weapons, only simple tools such as slings and spears. On the other hand, the Canaanites were skilled warriors who had lived in fortified cities for generations and could not be defeated by slings, spears, and arrows. When Joshua got to the gate, he withdrew from the armies of Israel to pray and ask God for help in conquering the city. Suddenly, he saw a man standing before him with a sword drawn in his hand. Joshua quickly realized that this was no ordinary soldier. He approached the stranger and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" In Joshua chapter 5 verse 14, the man answered, "Neither, but as commander of the Lord's army, I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground and worshipped and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" Joshua's act of worship showed that this was not just a man or an angel. It was God himself, the pre-incarnate Christ, also known as Michael, the archangel. From that moment, Joshua understood that he was not the true leader God was, and that his duty was to follow God's command. This story teaches us that Jesus, the commander of Lord's army, still fights for his people. Monday, war in heaven. Long before Joshua fought Jericho, there was another battle, a war that began in heaven. According to Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 12 through 15, Lucifer was a perfect, wise, beautiful, mighty angel who stood close to God's throne. However, pride filled his heart and he wanted the glory that belonged only to God. In Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 through 14, he said, "I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High." His pride transformed him from a prince of light into a prince of darkness. However, Jesus, our heavenly commander, has already won the victory. When we trust and obey him, he fights for us and gives us the strength to overcome evil. Tuesday, the Lord is a warrior. The Bible describes God as a man of war. When the Israelites suffered as slaves in Egypt, they cried out to God and he heard their prayers. At the right time, God rose to defend his people. When Israel entered Canaan, God removed the nations that had fully chosen to follow evil. He gave the land to his people so that his truth and righteousness could shine there. Many ask today, why will God command the destruction of the Canaanites, both young and old? But the truth is that God does not take pleasure in destroying people. His goal is to cleanse the world from sin and reveal his holy character. However, since sin must be destroyed, those who stubbornly choose to remain in sin will face its end as well. Today, the same spiritual war continues, not over land, but over every heart and life. Each of us must choose one side. Jesus, our divine warrior, calls us to stand with him. Through his death and resurrection, he has already won the victory. The destruction of the Canaanites reminds us of the final judgment to come when sin will be gone and God's love and justice will reign forever. Wednesday, the Lord will fight for you. From the very beginning, God's plan was to fight for his people. They were never meant to win by their own strength, but by trusting in his power. At the Red Sea, The Israelites did not need weapons. God himself drowned the Egyptian army. This showed how he wanted to lead his people, by faith, not by force. All through the Bible, God proved that he can defend his people without their weapons. When Israel fought the Canaanites, God sent heavy hailstones from the sky and defeated their enemies. And that is in Joshua chapter 10 verse 11. And when Israel faced the Amorite and Moabite, God made those enemies fight and destroy each other. The account is in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verses 15 through 24. When the Assyrian army surrounded Jerusalem, one angel from God killed 185 soldiers in a single night. This account is in 2 Kings chapter 19 verse 35. It is obvious that God planned for Israel to take the promised land by trusting and obeying him completely, not by fighting wars. They had fully believed his promises. He would have fought every battle for them. However, because they doubted him, God allowed them to face battles that he wanted to handle himself. Today, we often suffer in the same way. When we depend on our own strength or fear of what lies ahead, we miss the victories God wants to give us. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Thursday, the second best option. When God allowed Israel to conquer Canaan, it was not because he loved war. The Canaanites had filled their hearts with evil and refused to turn to God. So judgment had to come. God could have destroyed them himself, just as he did to the Egyptians in the Red Sea and the Assyrians through one angel. However, this time he let Israel fight beside him to teach them a lesson about faith. Israel's first battle occurred when they doubted God's presence. In Exodus chapter 17, verses 7 through 9, they asked, "Is the Lord among us or not?" Soon after this impression, the Amalekites were attacked, and Moses raised his hands in prayer. Joshua fought below, and Israel won only while Moses' hand stayed lifted. This shows that victory comes from trusting God. Friday further thought. Battles are to be fought every day. A great warfare is going on over every soul, between the prince of darkness and the prince of light. As God's agent, you are to yield yourself to him, and he may plan and direct and fight the battle for you with your cooperation. The Prince of Life is at the head of his work. He is to be with you in your daily battle with self, that you may be true to principle. That passion when warring for the mastery may be subdued by the grace of Christ. Conflict and Courage, April 21. If you want this gospel message to reach more people, please hit the subscribe button. Like and share this video. Doing so will help YouTube recommend it to more viewers. The comment section is open for your reactions. Thank you for studying this lesson with us. Goodbye and remain blessed. Until we meet next week. Maranatha.